So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Innovative Marketing Resources. You're the VP of the business. And your team, I'll say his team, Nick's team, consists of marketing, sales, and operation professionals with hands-on experience starting up successful companies and managing the business challenges that startups face. Now, I'm going to get this name right. Nick Salvatoriello, is that a good pronunciation?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Good.
It's good.
Okay. Is the partner and VP of Client Services at IMR. He's been leveraging social media for personal and professional services his whole working career. It says his whole life, but I'm not sure whether that's completely true. He's been leveraging it for a long time, let's put it that way. Prior to joining IMR, he was the principal inbound professor at HubSpot, as we mentioned earlier, at HubSpot Academy, where he provided planning and strategy for 200 new HubSpot customer accounts, helping them get started with building out their inbound marketing campaigns. So basically, he knows a hell of a lot about the inbound world. So over to you, Nick.
Thank you very much, Ken. You nailed it. All right, hello, everybody. As Ken said, my name is Nick Salvatoriello, but I just go by Nick Sal. It's a lot easier for you all to spell and pronounce, so just feel free to call me that. As Ken described, and as it also shows up on the slide, my career has been in customer service, so I'm not a salesperson. So if I sound very excited about what I'm talking about, it's just because I geek out on this stuff day in, day out. So I just bring a little bit of that excitement, I think, to what we're here to talk about. I also want to point out that I'm an accredited HubSpot trainer, so I'm one of about 25 people around the world that the company has certified to speak on their behalf and do training on their behalf. And prior to that, I actually helped design much of the training that we would then certify people to go out and train on. If you'd like to connect with me during or after our talk today, I'm at Nick Sal Inbound on Twitter. So would love to continue the conversation of what we discussed today on social. So let's think about what we're going to talk about over the next 30 minutes or so is what is inbound, this movement that started right here in the Cambridge area and has now gone worldwide. How does it work? How can it work for you and a startup? And then also I'm going to have you get started with some free stuff. Now, part of some of that free stuff is a copy of this entire presentation. So I'm going to go fast. We're going to jump to a lot of different ideas. I've pulled together some of the best slides and best concepts that I've found over the last 5 years or so working with and around HubSpot. So if you just want to focus today on listening, thinking about questions we can discuss in that remaining 15 minutes, go right ahead and do that. It'll all be available for you to review afterwards. Okay, so we ready to go? Ready to get started? Let's do this. All right, so what is inbound? Marketing and marketers have a lovability problem. Our surveys at HubSpot found that marketers are just a little bit less popular than stockbrokers and lawyers. So that's good. But we're a little bit more lovable than used car salesmen and lobbyists. So we're getting ahead of the game here, working our way up. And I felt that too. And that's why I was so pleased to discover a company like HubSpot that said, we've all had enough. Maybe there's another way around this. What's happened? Well, the way that we've all lived has changed, right? This is no secret to anybody here in the room. The way that we work, the hours that we work, where we work, even how we have used the internet, this relatively new phenomenon in humanity. And along with that, we found that how you learn about products today certainly has changed. Our buying process for those products certainly has changed. And it's not about like what many of my customers that I tried to onboard at HubSpot thought it was, which was simply just get on the internet. Let's just take some of the let's take our ads, let's take our coupons, let's just get it on the internet. Because there's plenty of data out there, we quote all sorts of stats to show you that the majority of folks will leave a website, will leave that page if you try to use those same old interruptive tactics. So it's just not about getting a better, shinier website and bringing your coupons and your ads right there onto the internet. We have to acknowledge that the customer is in control. The proliferation of technology today has made it so that the consumers that you're going to want to reach with your startups have the ability to block you out. They have the ability to turn you up as well, but they're in charge, they're in control. If you don't believe me, you can just ask Craig Davis, who's Chief Creative Officer of one of the largest ad agencies on earth, said, audiences everywhere are tough. They don't have time to be bored or browbeaten by orthodox, old-fashioned advertising. We have to stop interrupting what people are interested in and instead be what people are interested in. And it's a very powerful thought. So I'm going to talk to you about marketing technology. I'm going to show you some tactics and things like that. But that's one of the most important parts, is be what people are interested in. So in order to attract customers to your startup, marketers have to provide them something that they're going to love. Not something that they have no choice but to listen to, something that they're going to love. And what we at HubSpot believed and evangelized very much is inbound simply means marketing that people love. It's not website marketing. It's not content marketing. It could involve print advertising. It could involve newspapers. But it's marketing that people love. Let's talk about that. So traditional marketing, as we know, the cold call, interruptive, pushy, it's very marketer-centric. Those channels in the last couple decades were very convenient for us as marketers to control. What's happening today with inbound is understanding that it's customer-centric, pulling the customer in, using tactics like search engine marketing, creating helpful, interesting blog posts to attract people and help them and educate them and let them find value from your content other than just learning about what you have to sell and you. Inbound is them. And it's tough to describe because, like I said, it's not just talking about digital. It's not just talking about social. But once you geek out on it, you spend years thinking about it like I have, you start to spot it everywhere. You start to see it everywhere. And I was in a liquor store in Boston when I really saw it. I said, this is inbound. And this is what I saw. I'm into craft brews. Anybody else here drink craft brews? Yeah, be better in Boston, right? So I found that there was a six-pack I'd never seen before by Sam Adams, okay, local microbrewer made good. And, oh, sorry, I'm hitting this all over the place. Local microbrewer made good. I'm going to look at this. And what it was is they were advertising about the people who consume and make their product. And they run a contest every year, they've done this for years, where they identify beer drinkers who are so passionate about this product that they design and make their own beers. And they give them an opportunity to mail in their own recipes, and they let it for the employees too, because I would assume that certain Sam Adams employees are passionate about beer, yes? And they let them have their name, have their face, an artist rendering on the bottle and get national distribution. And I said, this is amazing. This is marketing people love. It got my attention. It was customer consumer centric. And of course, on the six-pack, there's a place where you can go to their website. Like I said, they've been doing this for years. And Sam Cooke, the founder of Sam Adams, will teach you how to make his product. Will teach you how to do the thing that they know how to do so well. Now, I can imagine being in the boardroom and stuff, people saying, oh, we can't teach them how to make our beer. You're going to teach the people who have recipes and know how to make beer. You're going to teach them how we do it. They're going to take their secret sauce and run away with it, right? And that might be what your CMO or what your startup team will tell you. Don't tell them how we do what we do. Don't give them samples. Don't give them the blueprint. They're going to take it and run away with it. But that's not what happened. I didn't take this and start my own microbrewery to disrupt Sam Cooke and his company. I just wanted to know that these guys believed what they still believed in the beginning, which is people who are passionate about their product and service, dare them to do it themselves. Dare them to solve the problem themselves. Make sure that they understand exactly how the product is made. I thought it was fantastic. I made a YouTube video about it. I'm freaking out to my wife. I said, this is what I've been telling people about. And what it really is, guys, is when you let your user, let your customer, let your client be the hero. Teach them how to solve the problem and celebrate those people who solve it with passion. And then you're going to be the afterthought. You're the mentor. You're the person who gave them helpful information. You gave them the ingredients to solve the problem that you are so passionate about solving yourself with your product, with your service. Let them be Luke Skywalker. You're going to be Obi-Wan. That is what HubSpot's secret to success has been. And the people who ended up signing up with us when I asked them how long have you been following HubSpot, on average it was 2 years. Learning, trying, getting better. We dared them to do it themselves, and eventually they got good enough. They got enough runway where they said, I need help. And who are they going to turn to? Their mentor. Help them be a hero. They'll remember who their mentor is. That's marketing that people will love. Now, this is a B2C example, but just so you don't think that this is only B2C can do this, let me take you through and show you how I took advantage of the same concept at HubSpot in a B2B type scenario. When I was at HubSpot Academy, I started a webinar series called the HubSpot Partner Broadcast. I was put in charge of helping marketing agencies that would help provide services and consulting and content creation services powered on the HubSpot platform. And I would have them tell their stories to other marketing agencies that weren't quite there yet. We had people talk about how they marketed smarter with social. We had folks talk about how they could use our content management system to create smart content. And this was a win-win for them. We put their name on the box, so to speak. We let them tell their story. Were they happy to do it? Yes. Did Andrew have a hard time actually getting me to tell my story to you all today? No, there's natural incentives at play here. So I took advantage of those natural incentives, let these people be the star. They got something out of it. They got increased exposure. They got better at talking about their brand and their story, and everybody won. So these are certainly not Fortune 500 brands. These are small, nimble marketing agencies, and I did this by myself. This was my idea that I ran with the go-to webinar in a few hours a week and a few phone calls and emails to ask these folks if they'd be interested in telling their story. And the audience grew from episode to episode until we had over 200 marketing agencies from around the world logging in to hear each other's story. And I was just there to introduce them, step back, watch the magic happen. You guys can do it too. So, how do you actually get up to that point? I don't know. For the last 10 years, I've spent my nights and weekends DJing. DJing weddings, private parties, things like that. Still do it from time to time. But I found that had a lot to do with inbound. You scan the audience, read the audience, take in their inputs, study the data, and then serve up a custom playlist, a custom content, this playlist, and see if people respond to it. And then you adjust as you go. It's very, very similar. And I've enjoyed being part of the growth story of HubSpot. They did take me on halfway through. I don't know if I had anything to do with the growth story there, but was very happy to join the team back in 2011 and just ride this rocket ship and work with some of the best names, some of the brightest minds in marketing, some of the brightest minds in technology in the area, some of the brightest minds in business. It's been really fantastic. And it's been great now to see so many of these folks since 2011 as the company went public go off and join other companies and spread the seeds of inbound and bring some of that inbound culture to other companies. It's been really great. That's what I chose to do in November 2011. After talking with hundreds of marketing agencies, helping them get up and running, building a business on HubSpot, I said it's time for me to go out, join a local marketing agency, get back to that startup level. HubSpot's already over 1,000 employees on 3 continents. That's awesome. Great for them. I'm still a shareholder, love the company to death. As a matter of fact, if you call 888 HubSpot, the tech support number, you'll hear my voice. Parlayed some of that DJ skills into some of the content. I voiced over some of their product demo videos and stuff. But I wanted to go out and figure out if we could help build a better, more inbound marketing agency. That's what I did. I joined Innovative Marketing Resources just back in November, and now I'm here starting to hit the road and telling a little bit more of the inbound story. We take our jobs seriously, but we like to have fun. We like to have serious fun. And we try our best to help businesses understand, is there a formula to doing this? Can we get this thing down to a science? Can we build a blueprint around how you do inbound? And the company has been a case study publicly on HubSpot's site. We use and practice inbound ourselves. So that's another great tip is you got to be your own best customer. Even if you're the first marketer on your team, you got to be your own best customer. You can't just be there saying, I'm going to wait for somebody else to do it. I'm the person who's going to get other people to do it. No. If you're team member number 1, you got to embrace it first. The cavalry is not coming. You have to embrace inbound yourself. And then other people in your company, as they start to see your results, they're going to start wanting you to teach them how to get it done. Okay. So, that being said, now you know basically a little bit of what I see inbound as being really about and how I got here to talk about it. Let me talk a little bit about how it might work for you. I just want to first point out that there's a whole universe of marketing automation software out there. My experience has been with HubSpot, But in the last 5 years, this is the fastest growing CRM-related category in the industry, is marketing automation software. So there's plenty out there. And I remember in the previous talk, folks were talking about using WordPress, other platforms, Buffer, a lot of free stuff out there as well. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about it from the HubSpot experience, but a lot of these things are available for free. A lot of other vendors out there in the category. Just want to say that up front. So inbound marketing, when you really break it down, is built on two things. Content, right? Helpful educational content, and then context. Understanding the people who are being helped and being educated by your content. Inbound is content plus context. Let's go further. Get found with helpful content. Valuable, helpful website pages, blog posts, social media messages. But then also having a way, they spoke about Google Analytics, lots of other platforms, to understand your buyers. Who's consuming this? What do they need? Why are they here? Who are they? Understanding these things, and then virtuous circle. Then you adjust your content based on what you learn. That's why they go together. Here's the problem. When we finally convert and understand who the person is, we got one. We got the email address. We want to take them to home base, right? They get on our website, it's contact us to do business. Free consultation, free demo, free trial. We're trying to get married on the first date. Okay, people can't go that fast. That's too pushy. What we need people to do is take a step, take a plan, take the next step, take the next step. In order to do that, you have to understand you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan in place besides there's the finish line. Anybody here take them to the finish line? We have to have a whole plan. Sometimes that's why it's hard. But I wanted to help you guys understand the content plus context game plan. I'm going to move through these swiftly for the sake of time, but I recommend that you go through and digest these slides later. We can talk about it, and there's a whole free certification that will walk you through this content plan. But let's go through it swiftly now so you can get a sense, just an overview of what I mean. No matter what company you're in, a startup, major corporation, if you want to get going with inbound, you got to identify the personas with data. Who's buying this? Who are they? Got to understand the personas with data. Because when people are reading your blog post, when they're seeing your social media message, they're not a member in a stadium. You're not writing your emails to a stadium of people. You as a marketer know that thousands of people may be receiving this message, but when the person receives it, it's just them, one-on-one. So you got to make sure when you're writing it to a certain type of person who buys this content. The simplest and easiest thing is to start to think about job role. What's a job role? If you already have a startup that's already got some traction, first question I'd ask is who's your favorite customer, your favorite client, the type of customer or user or client you wish you had 100 of them. Most people will know what that is. That's the person you got to write your posts to. You're writing it for them. Second thing is you got to align your content with your personas. So you have to start thinking about, okay, here's Sam. He's a VP of sales in an organization. What are we going to offer him first? What are we going to offer him second? What are we going to offer him third? You got to understand how your target buyer persona takes a journey for making a decision. And we thought about this a lot in HubSpot Academy. We tried to simplify it for people, calling it the buyer's journey. When anybody buys anything, I don't care if you're buying a pack of gum or a yacht, you probably go through these 3 stages with varying lengths of sales time depending on what it is. You scan the environment to say, become aware, gather information, get educated about what's out there. You consider then your options once you understand what the industry is that you're trying to get into to solve your problem. Then you're probably going to make a decision and zoom in and say, this one. And depending on what you're selling, that could take 2 years or it might take 5 minutes. But either way, we're prepared because we're thinking about this. You guys know about this happening. Have you ever been into the mall here in Cambridge? You go into like J. Crew or something like that. You're just window shopping. You look around and somebody comes up, hey, how's it going? What are you looking for? Nothing. Just you're checking, looking around. All right, let me know. Let me know, okay? Now you're like, well, now I'm out of here, right? You were here. They're trying to get you there. Now it's fast forward. Let's talk about your holiday season. Now you're in J. Crew because you want to get that perfect blue blazer for your husband, for yourself, whatever. And now you can't find a sales guy on the floor. Whoops. What are you doing then? They're stuck in the back. You're left by yourself. You're trying to make a decision. Nobody there to help you. They lose that sale too. You were here. They're treating you like you're over there. So this happens no matter what. That's why I'm trying to tell you it does not have to do with, oh, I'm on the internet now. I'm blogging now. We're doing inbound. No, not unless you've got this plan. Okay, and this is so cool because then you can start to figure out this is kind of a science. Okay, when people are in the awareness stage, they just want to be educated. They don't want to hear anything about your product. They only want to know, like Sam Cooke, that you can explain how to solve this problem, that you can dare them to do it themselves, because chances are at this stage, they want to just do it themselves. That's why they're on the internet, looking for something for free. Now, then you can start lining up different types of content to those different stages. So it becomes a science. But what's key, even if you know what type of content you're going to line up at what stage, it's not just a matter of saying, all right, well, we have our ebook here. It took me an afternoon to write it. It's 2 pages long. It's got some stock photos in it, and I didn't, I just whipped it up. That doesn't mean you're going to automatically have leads showering in to your database. Your offers have to be the best in the market. So if you're providing some type of information or a sales piece, you have to ask yourself, for this persona, for Sam Sales Guy, is this the best damn thing that Sam's going to read all day? Can he go and find something else on the internet today that's better than this? Because he will. It has to be the best. That's what kind of stinks. I'm sorry. It's going to have to be really, really good. And HubSpot's ebooks is why they make tens of thousands of leads every month, is because they're really good. But they're not written by award-winning marketing people. They're just written by passionate young people who have laser focus on attracting marketing Mary or owner Ollie, the marketing manager to small, medium to large size business, or a small business owner. We talk about them every day. All right, so how do you actually do it? Fine, Nick, we understand we need content at these different stages. We have the best offers. How are we going to actually get them to click on them and turn them into a lead on our website? This is quite roughly what you would do. Now we have a great ebook, let's say. We got to advertise it. So we have helpful educational blog articles, friendly educational website pages, and then you want to say, hey, if you liked this little article, this little page here, why don't you dive in for some premium deep dive content on this topic? All right. Good, nice. That's your little ad. You control all the ad real estate on your website. Did you know that? You can pay Google for theirs, and then on your website, it's free. You're not selling your ad space to yourself. All right, boom. That's the best spot. We got him. Now he's on the landing page. We advertise. This is the content that you're going to get. It's going to be really great. It's going to solve your problems. We wrote it for this persona, salesperson Sam. It's going to solve your problems. Now all you got to do is tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about why you're here and what you're interested in. Click. They get the ebook. You now know that this anonymous person in Google Analytics is actually Jane Smith at janesmith.com. Because we can't see that, right? At J.Crew, you could see who that person was. But in your startup's website, you can't see who that person is. There's a wall there. They got to identify themselves. All right, so now the data goes into your system, whatever database you're using. Bells start going off. Alerts start going off. You have information gathered that you can use for your follow-up. All of that lead data should be gathered in a centralized contact profile. I don't care if it's just a free database thing through WordPress, your Outlook contact records, or Salesforce.com. But you got to gather that information in there into a database and start crunching some numbers. Then you got to think about yourself, okay, I got them in at that first step. They've downloaded my informational offer, but the internet's a big place. How am I going to get them to come back? Okay? This is what I'd recommend, is to set up some sort of drip campaign so that once that person has downloaded an offer, that triggers a set of flows, emails, that will go out to them over time. How fast do your users or do your clients or customers make a decision? You have to think about that. Once you know, then you're going to time it to that. If it takes 2 months before they would move ahead to the next step, it's going to have to be 2 months long. If it's going to be 6 days or so, it's going to be a lot shorter. Okay, this is the good type of marketing automation. This is not spammy emails. These are emails that are triggered because somebody took a certain action on your site. They opted in. So all the data and from these research firms to show, just for the sake of time, shows it's better. Emails that have the person's first name in it, going to get more click-throughs. Emails that are relevant, meaning they're triggered off of a action, generate more revenue. More revenue, not more click-through rates. More money. Does your startup need to generate money? Got to be doing this. Nurtured leads, meaning leads that you follow through with a customized trail of content till they make a decision, generate 47% larger purchases. Do we need larger purchases for our startup? I do believe so. Okay, so we practiced this ourselves. It's just a little case study. See if you can stick with me for the sake of time. This is what we did at IMR Corp for inbound email. You got to run tests. Everything you do as a marketer, there's no such thing as an expert marketer. There's only expert testers. We're testing all the time. So this is what we did. We thought if we set multiple sets of email flows that are specified, that reference a specific interest that somebody put on that form when they downloaded the ebook, it's going to do better than if we just sent them a general email to say, hey, you downloaded this ebook, come on back, there's all sorts of helpful things on the website. If we target a specific interest, would it do better? How we're going to test it is we'll have one group of leads get a general message, thanks for downloading, come on back to see everything, and another set that went, thanks for downloading, come on back to see this specific thing that's related to the interest that you put into the form when you filled it out to download it. We asked you what your interest was. And we would check to see if the click-through rate, if they clicked through more on an email that referenced their interest. Let's take a quick look here. So this non-personalized email basically just said, hey, trying to generate more business online, not email to generate more business or blogging to generate more business, just general business. Click through, we've got lots of great stuff for you to check out. 12.5 click through, okay, not bad. And we found the average of this was about 10% of people in the flow were clicking through. Okay, now let's use some of the data that we're capturing. Let's use the context that we captured around their engagement with the content. And we said, if you had to choose, which would you want more information about? Blogging, email, social, SEO, that type of thing? And now let's reference that. So in this one, for people who picked email, we said, hey, if you're interested in learning more about email marketing, of course you are, it's what you told us, click through here and find some of our helpful content. Boom! Oh my God, 26% just by referencing the information that they give you. Boom, really, really successful. The next email in that flow, so if they got that one, 1 out of 4 people clicked through. The second email they got in that same interest flow actually went for the jugular, said, all right, now why don't you get our guide on how to do email-specific marketing? 26% of those people clicked through to get their hands on it. Same thing we saw with blogging. So now this one says, if you chose blogging as your interest, your email flow says, if you are still interested in learning more about business blogging, here's our guide for how to do that. 21.62%, already doing much, much better. All right, and you analyze it and you see the average, twice as much, just by referencing the information that people give you. We have so much information at our fingertips as marketers today. We got to leverage it. Analysis should be a big part of everything that you do as a marketer. And what you can find is by comparing these different interests together. We know across the board we basically did better, except in this area, this particular interest. You might just cut that interest. Not very engaging. Let's just drop that one out of the menu. You can't even pick that one because those people just aren't very engaged. So it's pretty fun. And also, you can dive into most marketing automation tools will allow you to see also the individual users' click-through rate. So if you actually end up seeing a user is clicking through on all the emails that you sent them in that flow, they're highly engaged. You want to send that person to the top of the list to call today. They're highly, highly engaged. So all this adds up to, folks, empowering your sales team. If you have a salesperson who's going to be calling this person, and they have a list of people to call today from a database of, I don't care, 150 or 15,000 leads, they need to find a way to prioritize, and they need to find a way to warm up that phone call. That's what every sales rep wants to do. They need an angle, they need an in, they need something to warm up that call and personalize it. You can provide them that information if you're using marketing automation of any platform. And that way you can get in situations where Chad Miller opens up your email, he's looking at it today, he's thinking about you today, and now you're there on the phone to talk to him, to help him out. That's perfect. That's not interruptive. That's them telling you now is the time. That's customer-centric, not marketer-centric. That's inbound. All right, so what I'm getting at here is even though the technology is really cool, it's all about treating people as humans, letting them be the star, letting them indicate to you when is the time for you to come swoop in and be that mentor and help them to the next step if they're ready to let you do that. All right, so let's talk about getting started real quick. First thing you want to do, I would recommend as a startup, is start getting familiar with this inbound methodology. Came up with this at HubSpot. This is vendor neutral. We did make it. It works well with the software, of course, but none of these things are specific to HubSpot at all. You should master this, and you can use it on WordPress if you want, or with HubSpot. So you can get certified on this for free. It's, again, product neutral, education and training, online, on demand. Over 40,000 marketers around the world have gone on to HubSpot Academy and gotten certified. You can do it in a weekend, and probably even in a day if you wanted, and get certified in this. It's going to give you credibility in the market and within your startup. Also, we at IMR Corp have the State of Inbound report from HubSpot. You can get it from us. Talk about some of the trends in the data. If you need to make the case for investing in an inbound program, and that might be just bootstrapping. That might not be a full implementation of HubSpot, especially in the beginning. You might want to be thinking about what are the trends, what are the stats that are working. That's available for you. Also, at IMR Corp, because we want to dare you to do it yourself, we want you to be the hero, go ahead and download this free guide that will walk you through 5 steps for building a content funnel for your sales team. That's available for free as well. And also, if you do lead gen full-time for your startup, I mean, if you're like a full-time marketer thinking about this, happy to grab a beer with you. Again, I know there's a drawing, but if you want, we can talk about how we can brew up some more marketing. I'm always around HubSpot headquarters as a certified partner. And also, if you're at work out of the Waltham area, you can stop by IMR Corp's headquarters as well. Final thought here as we go to questions is, a lot of people say, do you guarantee it'll work for us? I'm in this situation, I'm in that situation. It's like saying, do you guarantee my startup's going to work, right? Can't really do that. It's if you invest the time, you put in the hours, you gather your information, you test and iterate, there's probably a better chance your startup's going to start and break it through that high failure rate of startups. If you're kind of like approaching this like somebody saying, I'm going to start up my startup and hope that, success just kind of comes to me, I'm going to roll the dice and see what happens, it's probably not going to work for you. It's going to take some time and effort, and I think you'll hear Jennifer talking a little bit more about that, a little bit else. You got to look through the BS, get some information, try it yourself. But that's what I'd really recommend is you can't just think about it. You can't navel gaze about it. You got to get in the trenches, get some cuts and bruises. That's how you're going to figure out how to make it work for you, and it definitely can for all companies. All right, so that's it for me. I'd like to open it up to questions. Inbound versus outbound. Can you give me a little bit more specifics? Yeah, so I think that when you said they're education-based, I think that's another word to me that resonates strongly with inbound is, are you educating them on how to solve the problem? Are you providing them something that they want to get their hands on that's not just transacting with you, doing business with you? Do you have something, sometimes it's content. It could even be a book that you mail them. It could be a live training scenario like this. That, to me, is inbounding. People come, they gather information, be able to do it hopefully at scale, a little bit like this, because obviously if you're educating people much further out in the funnel in the sales process, not everybody's going to make it out here. But that, to me, education-based marketing, whether it's digital or in person, is, to me, very inboundy. When it's interruption-based, outbound to me is I go out to you, this is my message quickly, you didn't choose the channel, it's not about helping you, it's about talking about me and what I'm selling, that type of thing. That, to me, feels somewhat outboundy. Yes, sir. Again, unfortunately, a lot of the answers to those questions, what I got to ask them is like, it depends. Depends on where your website is. It depends on, how well targeted your market is and that type of thing. But I would say, like I said, to get educated on the inbound fundamentals could take you a day through HubSpot Academy. To build out a funnel of blog articles, creating a bit of content. Again, it would depend on how in-depth that content is. Is it a super in-depth webinar that's fresh material you got to make, fresh ebooks you got to make, that type of thing? It's going to take a while. It's going to be expensive. But what I've found is anybody who's thought about their business for more than 6 months or so has content in their head. They've got pitch decks that they've made, presentations they've given. So that can really cut down on the amount of time it takes to get up and running. But I would say, similar to what the gentleman from HBEMA said, is look at more like 6 months to a year. HubSpot would say get ready for a year, not because you're going to be hustling that whole time, but stuff's going to come up. You need time to kind of adjust and look back. So conservatively, I'd say a year. Yes? Why don't we go for you, and then we'll go to you. So your question being, is it nowadays to focus also on the site versus maybe a few years ago, just get that blog humming, the rest will take care of itself? Are you saying? Yeah, good question. I think that you got to view this blog as a part of your website. You know, the blog should be serving a purpose for your website. It's not a separate place that's got a totally different brand. Now, could you do that? Yes. Are people succeeding by having separate blogs on different URLs? Yes, of course. But if you're a startup or a small business, the blog is basically a great repository of pages on your website. Frequently asked questions, I think, are the best theme to stick with. If you were going to have a frequently asked questions area for your website, why not have that be in the format of a blog? People in your target audience who have questions, not like, how much does it cost? Although that would be still a good post. But questions that people are asking you every day when you're out networking in the industry should appear on the blog, and that serves as your website's frequently asked questions area. If it's a subdomain of your main site, then as we all understand it, and we're all just guessing, right, when it comes to Google, based on what they tell us, Google's going to view all of that as part of your website, so long as it's off the subdomain of your site or even a subdirectory off of your site. But certainly I would counsel that any page on your website should be educational, should be helpful, it should drive your user towards a goal, because yes, Google's going to check if people are just going on your site going, too salesy, or not really easy to use, or help me find out what to do next. They'll leave your blog post too if it's not clearly structured and organized. So I think it's a theme across any format on your site. Again, I'm not quite sure, because again, that's something that Google focuses on, and then also people who are deep into SEO consulting. But we've always said, yeah, don't have duplicate content. If the content's posted elsewhere, draw people to that page if possible, or write an article that cites it. You know, I don't see the purpose necessarily of writing duplicate content. I think this is where the best content is. If it's easy to find, and I might, if I want to mention it elsewhere, mention it in another post that adds additional value besides the same thing that you could find elsewhere. That's confusing, I think, would be my thought. Was there another question? Yes. Right. So your question being, hey, we've got limited resources and skills that might impact our ability to publish that frequently and to stay that fresh. Is that the concern? So I think it's two different business strategies. One, if you just want to make sure that you're owning certain areas of the internet, you want to provide the best article, the best content in a certain area, then you need to make sure it stands that test of time. It gets referred to over time. You might want to be less in the moment, you know, trending on that. If you want to gather people who, you understand how we all use the internet, right? We're looking for new, we're looking for fresh, we're looking for novel. That's a different strategy. What we found a lot in HubSpot is that some of our most viewed articles, with the majority of our traffic, came from articles that were written years ago. You know, and that's what's so exciting, is to watch a post that was out 5 years ago, and you're like, this post has generated 20,000 visitors for me over the last 5 years, and I didn't do anything besides write it 5 years ago. Or the guy was fired who wrote that. It's still selling for us. It's amazing. So you can also just remove the dates off your blog too, if you're worried about that. It's just take the dates off. But think about too, if you're trying, what are you doing when you talk with your prospects? You're talking about the news of the day, what's going on in the day. We're all writing content every day, emails and stuff like that. Scrape it up, write, you know, say, hey, did a lot of discussions today with potential prospects. Here's some of the things they were talking about. Drop in that paragraph from the email, drop in that bullet point from the slide presentation you gave last week, and recycle it. A lot of folks, if you're strapped for time, we're all leaving content behind every single day. How can we scrape some of that up and kind of put it into a post saying, we're in business, we were talking to a lot of people today, here's some of the things we were talking about. Every business can do that. I don't care if you're changing tires or helping people code custom solutions to integrate two systems or something. Is just write about what you're learning, write about what people are discussing day to day. Everybody can do that. Other questions? We got just a couple more minutes. All right.
Great.
Thank you all
very
so much for your
Round of
time.
applause for
Appreciate
Nick,
it.
please.